to ask the Minister for Health and Social Care, further to his answer to question 47 in September, what engagement has there been with local community pharmacies to ensure adequate supplies of medicines in the island?
Minister, Mr Ashford.
Thank you, Mr President. Community pharmacies receive regular and constant updates via our pharmaceutical advisor in the DHSC and from the local Isle of Man Contractors Association. Community pharmacies on the island continue to keep larger supplies than average pharmacies in the UK to mitigate against any weather disruptions to supplies, but they have been advised to ensure that they have resilience in their stock levels.
Mr Hooper.
Thank you very much, Mr President. As I'm sure the Minister is well aware, private companies' behaviour is governed primarily by commercial considerations, and I think the Yellowhammer documents that were published actually identified this as a key risk of dealing with the private sector, quite interestingly. So my question to the Minister is, what steps have been taken to try and influence the behaviour of these pharmaceutical companies to make sure that the Isle of Man is not left stranded if they are making commercial decisions which may be in their best interests but not in the best interests of the island?
Thank you, Mr President. Obviously, there is always financial considerations, but I think one of the advantages we've probably got compared to across the water is even those private organisations that we have over here, compared to the huge companies in the UK, are very small, and they're very patient-focused, our pharmacies as well. So they really do put the patients at the heart of what they do. We are in regular contact with them. Obviously, we can't force the pharmacies to hold stock, but one of the things that we can do is, obviously, there is stock at Nobles, and in the event of a worst case scenario, we could always use the pharmacy at Nobles to help stop supplying the community pharmacies, but that really would be a last resort. The advice has been given out to the pharmaceutical advisors. We have advised them to have conversations with their customers as well, because they know their customer base better than anyone else. And as I referred to in a previous answer, Mr President, I don't want to, and I don't like to keep repeating myself, but I did also mention in a previous answer that where you have a patient who requires more unique medication, that has already been told to pharmacies to identify those patients and consider holding increased supplies than they would normally.
Honourable Member, Miss Edge.
Thank you, Mr President. The Minister's just commented there with unique, obviously, supplies. Can he circulate the policy that his department has got with regards to that, and what would he do? The Minister seems to have a problem today when I'm asking him a question. However, what will he do what will he do about access to life-saving drugs, and what is in his policy with regards to that if they don't become available?
Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. I mean, if we had a policy covering every single drug going, the Chief Minister's trees would have disappeared quite rapidly. We can't have a policy about every single individual drug, and particularly we're talking about community pharmacies here. They know their patients, they know what is prescribed, they know what their stock throughput is. They need to ensure that there's resilience in stock. Where we have said where they have any individual patients, they are the people to be able to identify that. They are the people to be able to act upon that. There is only so much that we can do in terms of unique drugs. When I talk about unique drugs, you may have a patient that is receiving at one patient on the island. We cannot build a policy around each individual patient on the island. That just is not physically possible. What we can do is advise the pharmacies, make sure that they are up to date with the current thinking and current things that are going on. That is exactly what the Brexit Impact Group is doing, and that is how we will continue to advance the policy.
Supplementary, Miss Edge.
Thank you, Mr President. Can the Minister advise, therefore, then, if there is any shortage of any supplies at the minute that he's notified the pharmacies of?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. There's constantly shortages of various different drugs, but that's not due to Brexit. That's due to worldwide implications. For instance, we experienced, honourable members will remember, which I spoke about in this honourable court not long ago, about the EpiPen issue. Now, that was nothing to do with Brexit. That was to do with worldwide manufacturing problems. There's been issues which have been in the press recently about the HRT drug. There's also, I believe, there's another one that I have now managed to lose somewhere. That there is also there's also another drug recently that there has been a shortage of, which was being advised back, which is dimorphine 5 milligram injections. But again, that's not due to Brexit. That's got nothing to do with Brexit. We have these issues generally, and that's why it's important that the alternative things can be prescribed. Again, I don't want to preempt my answer to the next question. There's alternatives that we can prescribe and things that we can do differently. It's all part of one big policy, Mr. President, and like I say, that's not just a policy about Brexit, that's a general pharmaceutical policy across everything.